Welcome everyone to the YIVO Institute for Jewish Research virtually. My name is Alex Weiser. I'm the Director of Public Programs of YIVO. For those that don't know, YIVO is a really special place for the celebration and contemplation of Jewish history and Jewish culture. We have an archive and library collection which contains over 23 million documents and over 400,000 books, which researchers from around the world use for all sorts of work. And we make this material available in a variety of other ways by having exhibitions, classes, and also public programs like this one. So we're very pleased to have you all with us today for Cry My Heart Cry, Songs from Testimonies in the Fortunoff Video Archive, Volume 2. And I just want to say a big thank you to Carnegie Hall, who this program is in partnership with Carnegie Hall's Voices of Hope Artists in Times of Oppression Festival. We're very grateful for their help with this. Without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Stephen Naran, the director of the Fortunoff Video Archive at Yale, who's going to tell you a little bit more about this project and about this program. Stephen.
Thanks, Alex. We're delighted to be working with you and YIVO, Carnegie Hall, to present the work today of Zisl Slepovitch and Sasha Lura. The songs you're about to hear are taken from the second volume of recordings based on testimonies from the Fortunoff Video Archive. After the concert, you can learn more about the ongoing project, listen to both volumes 1 and 2, watch excerpts from testimonies, and learn more at the project's accompanying website, songsfromtestimonies.org. Just a few words about the Fortunoff Video Archive for those of you who are unfamiliar with our organization. The archive began taping testimonies in New Haven back in 1979. It was a groundbreaking effort at the time, the brainchild of 2 New Haveners, Dr. Dory Laub, a psychiatrist and himself a child survivor from Chernovitz, and Laurel Vlock, a television personality at Channel 8. They had the support of the New Haven survivor community from the very beginning, particularly in the form of William Rosenberg, a survivor from Częstochowa, who would become the president of the nonprofit organization they founded to manage the taping efforts called the Holocaust Survivors Film Project. It was a truly unique local grassroots effort by survivors and supporters in the New Haven area. And the collection didn't come to Yale until 2 years later in 1981, and that was thanks to the work of Professor Jeffrey Hartman. Professor Hartman, who himself fled Frankfurt on a kinder transport to the UK, was a scholar of comparative literature and served as the archive's advisor until his death in 2016. His wife, Renee, was one of the first survivors taped by the project in 1979. Under Jeffrey's watch, it grew to become an internationally renowned collection that has influenced the way the history of the Holocaust is studied, written, and taught. There are now 4,400 testimonies in the Fortunoff Video Archive, 12,000 hours of recorded material in over a dozen different languages recorded over the last 40 years. Each testimony in the collection is a world unto itself, functioning in some ways like an audiovisual autobiography of the individual. And our open-ended interview methodology is designed to allow for a great deal of spontaneity and freedom for the individual to tell their story the way they desire. Because of this, it's no wonder that song and poetry appear in so many testimonies. The Songs from Testimonies project, which you're going to see just a glimpse today, follows in the path of many venerable ethnomusicological projects that stretch back to the early 20th century, with individuals like Shinansky, who went on expeditions to record the musical heritage of a Jewish society that was disappearing due to modernization, urbanization, and political turmoil. My point is simply, we're not the first to recognize the significance of musical expression as a means of understanding the past, and that most certainly applies to our understanding of the multilingual, multicultural world where European Jews lived and died during the Holocaust. Finally, although this concert is called Voices of Hope, it could easily have been called the opposite. Many of these songs are from camps and ghettos, and it is by pure luck that the survivors who recounted them in their testimony were able to do so. So I'd ask that we let their voices serve as a living memorial to the millions who did not survive, who could not share their testimony with us, and for whom hope, if they had it, did not enable their survival. And with that, I would like to introduce Zisl Slepovitch, the Fortunoff Archive's musician in residence.
Thank you, Stephen. Songs from Testimonies in the Fortunoff Video Archive is a project that explores and artistically presents music and poetic pieces performed by survivors and testimonies given to the archive. Some of the songs were from the pre-war period. Some of them gained new meaning during the Holocaust, playing many different roles. But often songs worked to sustain people psychologically in the unimaginable conditions, when even the very act of singing a song might have required an enormous effort. Some of the songs are not idiomatically Jewish. They might be songs from the past that acquired new topical lyrics. There are songs of struggle and resistance. Many songs are satirical in nature, songs documenting people's suffering, songs naming the traitors and collaborationists. There are even overtly anti-Semitic songs that the survivors nevertheless chose to perform. When I started working on the collection in 2018, I only had a vague sense of the richness, depth, and breadth of the material I would be examining. As I dug deeper, it became clear that I would need to contract an ensemble that would be the right fit for this very challenging material. In the 2 volumes of Songs from Testimonies, Sasha Lura sings Yiddish, Hebrew, Polish, German, Russian, mixed Yiddish-German, and French. The 2 volumes have been the most stylistically and linguistically diverse albums that I have ever recorded or produced. From the very beginning of this project, I have been very fortunate to work with Joshua Camp, who plays the accordion, piano, and the guitar, bassist Dimmitri Ishenko, violinist Craig Udelman, and vocalist Sasha Lura. Mariana Slepovitch appears on 2 songs in Volume 2 on the tsimbali, a Belarusian string instrument similar to the hammered dulcimer. As time passes, we obviously are moved farther away from the origins of the source material, but our hope is that anyone listening to these songs will be driven to also learn more about the survivors who sang them. These songs represent many things, including stories of loss and survival, stories that are still important to hear today when we are experiencing a new upheaval of hateful chauvinistic ideas and ideologies. Anti-Semitism itself, sadly, is hardly a thing of the past. Music, in a way different from a verbal story, has the power to educate, to challenge people's thinking.
We will begin our program tonight with the song Indina Verke. Lily M. was born in 1924 in Vilna, now Vilnius, Lithuania, then Poland. In her testimony, Lily recalls growing up in an assimilated, affluent home, as well as the rise of anti-Semitism from 1935. Lily was deported to slave labor camp Dina Verke in Yiddish, in Kaiserwald, on the outskirts of Riga, Latvia. According to Lily's testimony, her friend Tosia composed and sang the song. Lily characterized Tosia as a very talented poet. Tosia did not survive the war.
So there was a Russian song that we put this poem, and this poem is called Indina Verke. And I remember the words, but just to make sure. Indina Verke, arum Teichenwald, seinen Doiden von Gor der Welt, arbeiten alle schwer auf der Kält, in draußen noch finster, der Glock zu der Arbeit ruft, es ziehen sich Rehen, es scheuchelt der Wind, Iden vermischt, fahr wem es sind.
Arum Teichenwald, seine Doiden von Gor der Welt, arbeiten schwer auf der Kält, in der Reusen noch finster, der Glock zu der Arbeit ruft, es ziehen sich Reihen, es scheuchelt der Wind. Jeden fahr mich spät, fahr beim Sie, der Tag scheint fort über, die Sonne lang vergangen, sie gehen zurück sich mit langsamen Tritt, vom ganzen Tag Arbeit seinen sie mit. Für uns in eigen Land und wir wollen arbeiten für uns in eigen Land.
I would like to turn to the musicians and ask them to speak about their experiences working with this material on both albums. Joshua Kemp was the first one of this band who encountered songs from Testimonies. Joshua.
Thank you, Zisl. That's right. I was fortunate enough to be involved with the first performance, which was as a duo. And it's been an amazing journey. And I've loved to watch how this has expanded. And I do think it's probably one of the most important projects I've ever been involved in. Music performance is an ephemeral act, but through the act, we can transform something that's perceived as being in the past and bring it to the here and now. And in our current situation where musicians have been severely curtailed from performing together and in front of an audience, I think this project is a much needed reminder, at least to me, of the value of music and music performance and how it can connect us with our past and our shared humanity.
Thank you, Josh. Hella R. was born in 1926 in Adamów, but moved to Warsaw at the age of 4. In her testimony, Hella shares several accounts of people coping in the Warsaw ghetto with humor, often dark gallows humor. As she put it, they were telling jokes and singing songs as they were going to work in the ghetto. One of these songs was a humorous pre-war song, the Rabbi Son and the Shiksa, the non-Jewish woman. In this arrangement, you will also hear a Hasidic nigun, a devotional religious song. This one is a Purim tune in the musical tradition of the Bobov Hasidim.
אני יכולה לשיר את זה? אינה שטייטל נשווית פינדנת, איי איי איי. איזהרה בלפרהנן, אוי איי איי. לייבטר פין קשי מסו, איי איי איי. נור פין חסידים די בהיימס, איי איי איי. איי 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 איי.
done it, oi, oi, oi. Is a rebel in my run, oi, oi, oi. Left her with the shyness, oi, oi, oi. Nar pussy did the behavior, oi, 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 oi. Is a mola nest geschehen, oi, oi, oi. Hat dem Reben sim gesehen, oi, oi, oi. Mit der Schicksal zwischen die Beine, oi, oi, oi. Alle Scham ist ungeschrieben, oi, 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 oi. Ist der Rebbe geworden in Gas, oi, oi, oi. Auf der Schicksal dem Machschas, oi, oi, oi. Dem Sohn dem Narroh ist getrieben, oi, oi, oi. Und mit der Schicksal ihn verblieben, oi, oi, oi. Ai, 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 ai.
Jean B. was born in Łódź, Poland in 1919. A member of a Zionist youth organization, Jean went to study in Palestine, where she received her degree in 1939. Visiting her parents during the summer break, she found herself stuck in Poland when the war broke out. She survived 4 years in the Łódź ghetto. In the ghetto, Jean attended many theatrical productions and choreographed children's dances, in which she also participated. One of Jean's teachers, Shammai Rosenblum, sang her a poem by Aleph Lutzki, a waltz, the waltz. Jean only remembered select stanzas and not the music. Therefore, I set the poem to my original music, and the Belarusian-American artist Yulia Ruditskaya has created this animation, which we are delighted to premiere today.
And the name of my dance was 1, 2, 3. And Shammai Rosenblum was a teacher, and he was singing to my dance. You want to hear the song? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, poelig draaien zich. Weißt du wie azoi, weißt du wie azoi, Bäume in dem Wald draaien sich azoi, wenn du fuhrst vorbei, in a barn vorbei. And I was dancing in on the walls. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, porlich drehen sich. Weißt du wie es soll, weißt du wie es soll. Bäume in Wald drehen sich so, wenn du fährst vorbei, in a Bahn vorbei. zwei, drei, 1, 2, 3, hast die Fiedel spielt. Weißt du, was weißt du, was welche Mädel händ unter deine Fies, kräuseln dich herauf, wie herauf. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, hast die Mandolin. Zimbel tot so, weißt du, was sie tut? Deine junge Tag, die vergangene, breckelt sie vernannt, hast das Fleitel pfeift. Weißt du, was du hast? Weißt du, was du hast? Heute in der Welt weinen das so, wo je weinen sie, wo je weinen sie. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, als die Poik baroscht. Weißt du, was das ist? Weißt du, was das ist? Das ist doch der Räusch und der Weltgeräusch. Was verteuchtigt dir, achet von Tod? Eins, zwei, drei, 1, 2, 3. Hast das Leben ist, a gedreher Saal. Wein die Violonchelle, 1, 2, 3. Wellen von der Welt, alle sich zergehen. Tut mir so weh, tut mir so weh, tut mir so weh, tut mir so weh.
Yulia Rudzitskaya is a renowned graphic and animation artist. Her works have been officially selected for 105 film festivals, where she has won 37 industry awards to date. It happened so that Yulia Rudzitskaya is my expat. We both come from Minsk, Belarus. We both share not only the pain of the Holocaust, the genocide of the Jews and the Belarusians during World War II, but also the pain of the present-day country suffering under brutal dictatorship. This common background may partially explain the natural chemistry that formed between us as we started collaborating on this project. It is my honor and pleasure to present Miss Yulia Rudzitskaya.
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I just want to express my gratitude for giving me this unique and amazing opportunity as an artist, to Zisl and to Stuben for inviting me to collaborate on this project. And as an artist, this music and the poem by Lutsky really resonated very strongly with me, and I was fascinated and challenged to work on this very difficult but also very rich material. And I think the language of animation allows to express this very non-linear story where a lot of lives, a lot of destinies are intertwined, and there are a lot of very complex themes and subject matters that are both in the music and in the song that I try to weave with my like phantasmagorical visuals, the subject of death, the lost hope, lost lives, this longing for home. And as an immigrant in New York myself, I can very much relate to that experience on a very subconscious level, and I try to unite all that into the visuals, and I hope you enjoyed the animation, and thank you so much for this amazing opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Yulia. Really an incredible animation. I got to see this for the first time just now, and I'm just blown away. But we're going to move on. Moshe B. was born in 1926 in Rumianów, Poland. After imprisonment in several camps, Moshe survived a death march through Bergen-Belsen, where he was liberated by the British troops. Moshe sang the song Kadush Hashem, the heroic deed, as a tribute to someone by the name Zhelazny, a talented singer in Moshe's own words. Well, one can define this piece as a ballad due to its great dramatic intensity. It can also be categorized as a theatrical piece. In this piece, the dramatis personae include the congregation, der ganzer Eulam, the old cantor, der alter Chasen, the evil Gentile sailor, der Proster Matros, the old rabbi, der alter Rov, and the old blind Jew, a Yid, a Zokna Blinder. This is one of a series of dramatic and dramatized Ashkenazic Yiddish ballads that are not coincidentally set on the eve of Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. This song undoubtedly belongs to the body of the Eastern European Jewish musical tradition, while also resonating with the Brechtian theater music along the lines of what we would hear from Kurt Weill from the same period.
Die Sonne ist verschwimmen, der Tug ist weg. Die Nacht von Kol Nidre ist gekommen und gebracht mit sich viel Schreck. Das kleine Besmetterische wie bei Säulung versammelt hat sich dort die ganze Eulung in die alte, zerbrochene Schiff. Teichen, Tränen gießen sich von seinen Augen, wenn der alte Hasen sucht.
Die Nacht von Kol Nidre ist gekommen, ihn gebracht mit sich viel Schreck. Das kleine Besmitrischl wie ein Besäulam, versammelt hat sich dort das ganze Eulam in der alte zerbrochene Schiff. Teichen Tränen gießen sich von sehr Wolken, wenn der alte Hasen sucht. Plötz in derselber Zeit hebt sich immer schreit, 1, 2, 3, 4, es öffnet sich die Tür, es kommt herein a proster Matros. Ha, 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 wie schmutzig ist hier in diesem Lokal, wer ist Verwalter von diesem Lokal? Der alte Rof, geht doch schwer, ihm wischen sich die Tränen in die Augen, fragt was verlangt ihr, Herr? Ich hab hier in der Synagoge einen Spion versteckt. Will ich dem Spion nicht gewinnen, will ich die Synagoge mit euch alle Juden verbrennen. Euer Pscher hat sich Porzellan, das Gedachten, in ganzem Bränkener Stadt mit jüdischen Kinder, euer Spion, heut in der heiligen Nacht. Scha! Rabbi Son, das bin ich. Ich will sterben. Also ich schreit euch, Ayid, als Sugna Blinder. Ich will sterben für euch Männer auf Kiddush Hashem. Aufgehen für ein Himmel, der Schossen und Rachmanes, und der jiddische Held. Also Held hat das jiddische Volk noch nicht gehabt. In der Eule meine in der slavistiker Frie weit und klugt, wenn der alte Hasen sucht,
Sasha Lura is the lead vocalist of this project, Songs from Testimonies. She's truly a creative force standing behind many of the ideas that you are hearing in this program. Sasha, I would like to ask you to please share a few words about your work in Songs from Testimonies.
It is really, really hard to say what this project means to me in just a few words. This project comprises in itself so many things that I care about. It's about looking at history and making it modern and making it and drawing the lines to today. It's about looking at Jewish community of those times that we imagine we're lost and so far away, and seeing at them as something we can directly connect through these testimonies and people around us. It's about challengingly so exploring the multifacetedness and multilingual sides of Jewish communities at the time. These people sang in so many languages and spoke so many languages, and they were connected to all these people around them and all these cultures around them. In a way, Jewish communities of the time were the true cosmopolitan communities. And that is what in some places of the world we're starting to experience now, that we can live among multiple languages and nations and be at peace with them. And I'm really hoping that projects like this will keep showing up to show us that it is possible, even in the hardest times, to sing in the language of people who are your enemies and love it. I think this is a project that tells us about sorrow and suffering, but it also tells us about joy and peace and fight. And I really hope that it will inspire lots of people to go and learn more about this.
Thank you, Sasha. I hope so too, really. Stuben Elto, the next song. Joseph W. was born in Łódź, or Lodz, Poland in 1929. When the Nazi occupation began, he and his family were locked in the ghetto. One of Joseph's brightest memories was of Yankele Hershkovich, who composed many songs in the Lodz ghetto and was famous as the ghetto troubadour. Stuben Elto is a modified, perhaps Polonized version of the German Stuben Ältester. The original meaning of the term was a senior soldier in the barrack room. In the concentration and slave labor camps, the word meant capo, a prisoner functionary assigned by the SS guards to supervise forced labor or carry out administrative tasks.
Stuben Ältester conveys the grim reality of everyday life in the camp. The Yiddish lyrics carry a strong influence of German as well as camp slang. The Freilichs-like feel of the song, as sung by Joseph in his testimony, becomes a vehicle for the dark humor that saturates the lyrics.
Stuben Elto, gibst du gefällst du, einen Masub in den zweiten Apatsch, o hält mich schreien, sind Stutzekaien, Maraba ein jeder ist auch wat. Fin beginnen frei, hab ich nicht an Rie, mich sich gleich antreten, und ich weiß nicht wie, dort im Klosett, sprachen man rett, treffst du einem Schluffen, wie bei sich im Bett. Stuben Elto, gibst du gefällst du.
Hab ich nicht kein Rie, mir sich gleich eintreten und ich weiß nicht wie. Dort im Klosett sprachen man rett, treffst du einem Schluchen, wie bei sich im Bett. Stuben Ältester, gibst du gefällst du, einem Azug und dem zweiten Apatsch. Heb nicht schreien, sie ist nicht du zu keien, Maraba, ein jeder ist ach wat. Kinder mit Tokschuh, werch gel und gru, läuf ich dorten du, schreit auf der Blockova, will oben ruh. Sagt man mitteilt, jeder sich eilt, Kruppe, Kaschemanne, Kartoffel und Geschalt. Stuben Ältester, gibst du gefällst du, einem Azug und dem zweiten Abatsch. Heb nicht schreien, sie ist nicht du zu keien, Maraba, in jeder ist ach wat. mitten Stock, oi bin ich verdammt, weil ich hab nicht Ham. Heit man dort und schreien, el Jude, Jatschedam, Stuben Elster, gibst du gefällste, eine Masuk und den zweiten Apatsch. Heit nicht schreien, es ist nicht du zu keien, Maraba, ein jeder ist a Chwat. Stuben Elster, gibst du gefällste, eine Masuk und den zweiten Apatsch. Heit nicht schreien, es ist nicht du zu keien, Maraba, ein jeder ist a Chwat.
I have worked with Craig Udelman for many years in the klezmer band Litvakus, and I've always been fascinated by his sound, his energy, and not the least his willingness and ability to go in depth with any material he worked with. I would like to ask Craig to share his perspective on working on songs from Testimonies project.
Hey, Zisl and everybody.
Hi.
Thanks so much. It's such a pleasure and a strange way to be here and to get to share this wonderful music with everybody. I think people have already spoken a lot about the amazing depth and breadth of the Jewish experience, of the languages and cultures that they were a part of, that this music represents. And I thought I would just mention that I think it's kind of clear to us how these Holocaust testimonies allow us to take something so big and almost incomprehensible and bring it down into a human level and to these stories of actual people and actual moments that they experienced. And I think for us as musicians, this was one of the most special things for me. We spend a lot of time studying this music and trying to understand the context of the music and the world that the people who played it lived in. And it's one thing to be like, oh, this is a Freilux, they played it at a wedding. Oh, this is a Dober Den, they played it at a wedding, But to get these songs where you understand not just like what's the song about, but what was the moment in which they sang it and what did it mean to them in that moment, really takes it to a whole nother level. And then when we perform it and we try to interpret it in ourselves, it becomes this really deep, kind of acting or imagining. And it's like it really takes you beyond yourself to try to get into not just what is the song saying, but what did it mean in that moment. I think this next song really is kind of a perfect example of that. So I hope everybody is sort of themselves getting this sense of an experience beyond them, and also I hope that you all have the strange joy of working on such intense and beautiful material.
Thank you very much, Craig. Thank you. Henry G. was born in 1925 in Raba Mazowiecka, Poland, southwest of Warsaw. At the age of 5, his family moved to Gdańsk, then Danzig, and in 1932, due to the constant anti-Semitic attacks by Hitler Youth, Henry's father decided to move to Paris, where Henry lived under the war until the war broke out. In his testimony, Henry tells a story of how he and his brother escaped Nazi-occupied Paris. I had food, I will quote his testimony in English because his testimony was in French. I had food ration cards, the paper for traveling, the Pétain insignia, a backpack. Friends from Plotzle, some not Jewish, some half and half, sold the remaining canned food so I could have some bread and money for the trip. My little brother was with me. We went to the Gare d'Austerlitz, which is a railway station in Paris, and I told him, sing like me, sing Une fleur au chapeau. From far away, you could see the soldiers separating families with suitcases. You didn't need to be anti-Semitic to see that any family looking worried with a lot of suitcases was a group of Jews. We kept singing, looked straight ahead, and got on the train. The Germans were patrolling the train. Papers, please. I told my little brother, who's 14, okay, you sleep and leave everything to me. So when the soldiers demanded the paper, I handed it over smiling, saying, back to nature, with a Pétain insignia. the uniform, the songs, it was clear that I was headed for the summer camp. Gut, gut, they replied. We went to Dax. There were supposed to be contacts and people to help us. We didn't have money and no one helped us. We were still in the occupied territory there. In this musical arrangement, we attempted to convey the feigned carelessness of the two teenagers running for their lives.
Je dis à mon frère, tu fais comme moi, tu chantes une fleur au chapeau. Vous connaissez la chanson? Une fleur au chapeau, à la bouche une chanson.
Sous le soleil et sous l'orage, peut-être bien que vous pensez que nous avons bien du courage pour ainsi nous harasser à courir le long des routes. Vous ne savez ce que c'est, vous n'aurez jamais sans doute une fleur au chapeau, à la bouche une chanson, un cœur joyeux et sincère, et c'est tout ce qu'il faut à nos filles et garçons pour aller au bout de la terre. Oh, comme nous serions heureux si nous pouvions la vie entière courir par les chemins embruns ou sur la route familière depuis le sommet nègre jusqu'à bord la mer profonde. À travers nos cris joyeux, nous dirions un vaste monde, une fleur au chapeau, à la bouche une chanson, un cœur joyeux et sincère, et c'est tout ce qu'il faut à nos filles et garçons pour aller au bout de la terre. Et la vie n'est pas ainsi, et notre tâche plus aride, mais il nous faut du cœur aussi, il faut aussi des bras solides pour combattre sans merci la laideur et la paresse. À travers les soucis, il nous faut garder sans cesse une fleur au chapeau, à la bouche une chanson, un cœur joyeux et sincère, et c'est tout ce qu'il faut à nos filles et garçons pour aller au bout de la terre. Une fleur au chapeau, à la bouche une chanson, un cœur joyeux et sincère, et c'est tout ce qu'il faut à nos filles et garçons pour aller au bout de la terre.
The next song, O Himland, is a powerful, chilling song recounted by Moshe F., born in Uniejów, Poland, in 1913. When Moshe arrived in Auschwitz, he met a man by the name of Meir Ber Gutman, who could write. He wrote two poems, Azoi wie ich bin nach Auschwitz gekommen, when I came to Auschwitz, and O Himland, wie ist mein Glück? Oh heavens, heavens, where is my luck? Both were set to the melodies of popular Yiddish songs of the period. First one was originally a rejoicing song that recounts the Jewish holidays and celebrates how good it is to be a Jew. Ach wie wohl und ach wie gut ist zu sein a Yid. The juxtaposition of the new text and the old melody creates a sense of tragic irony that likely would have been clear to the listeners at the time. The second tune and verse, which gives the title to the composition, uses the melody of popular songs sung in Yiddish, Polish, and Russian. Wie ist das Gessele, wie ist die Stieb? Where's that street? Where's that house?
Okay.
Also wie wir seien nach Auschwitz gekommen, Freuen und Kinder hat man zugenommen, doch geworden a größer Tumult in a halbe Schuh, weil wir seinen Himmel in die Nacht auf die Nares, legen wir weg die Beine, die Dare, schlaf mit Hoffnung auf dem Herzen, auf der Frei, weil wir seinen Kerzen.
Auschwitz gekommen, Freunde und Kinder hat mit Ziegen nehmen, ist dort geworden a größer Tumult in a halbe Schuh, weil wir sein in Himmel. In die Nacht auf die Mares, leg mir weg, die Pendel die Dare, schlafen mit Hoffnung auf dem Herzen, auf der Frei, weil wir sein in Kerzen. In die Nacht auf die Nares, leg mir weg, die Pendel die Dare, schlafen mit Hoffnung auf dem Herzen, auf der Frei, weil wir sein in Kerzen. Himland, wo is mein Glück?
I've had the honor of working with the bassist Dimmitri on a wide range of projects, from klezmer, he is a substitute bass player in the Litvakus band, to improvised music. Dimmitri plays in the Zisl Slepovitch trio, along with the wonderful guitarist Nadav Lev, to musical theater, Fiddler on the Roof in Yiddish, being one of the more recent productions where we shared pit, and more. It is truly my pleasure to ask Dimmitri to share his story of working on Songs from Testimonies.
Thank you so much, Zisl. I just want to say it has been a real honor for me to be a part of this project on so many levels. On one level, over the past year, this project brought a sense of hope and normalcy to an otherwise dire situation, especially for musicians in this pandemic. Working with people I respect and admire on music that carries so much historical weight gave me much inspiration and made life seem somewhat normal for the time being. On another level, it has exposed me to a wide variety of music in a multitude of languages that comes out of the Holocaust era. Not all of it sad, and some of it quite hopeful and optimistic. This in turn helped me put the current pandemic situation into perspective. If people were able to see a ray of light in a situation that is infinitely worse than the one that we're in right now, there is no excuse for me personally to be negative and pessimistic about what is happening today. Hope brings on survival. And of course, from a personal perspective, participating in this project is a tribute to the Jewish side of my family and their struggles during that era, and to the several relatives that I know of who have perished during that time at the hands of the Nazi allies in the Odessa, now Ukraine era.
Dimmitri, thank you so much for sharing and for being part of it. It's really an honor. The last song in our tonight's concert is Schrei Herzl Schrei, Cry or Yell My Heart, Cry My Heart Cry, which is the title piece of the second volume of Songs from Testimonies. In the interwar Europe, including the Soviet Union, Latin American music was immensely popular. It is no surprise that some songs adapted popular Latin American music repertoire and tunes to the new lyrics that became widespread as new pieces. The musical origins of the so-called Schrei of that song, they lie in Tango Oración, composed by the prominent Argentinian composer and tango orchestra director Eduardo Bianco. While the Schrei is based on Oración, it has its own distinct feel, tempo, and form.
We find this song in more than one testimony, both in the Fortunoff Video Archive and in the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum collection. It was sung by Morris K., which we use as the main reference for this recording, Willie F., who presents a short fragment from the song, and Frida Burstein-Radasky, who sang a fuller but also slightly different version titled Treblinka dort, There Lies Treblinka. The song conveys the story of frequent deportations from Warsaw's Umschlagplatz to Treblinka, as seen and felt by the ghetto prisoners. Morris K., born in 1917, heard the song while he was still living with his family in his hometown Polantsev. Finally, another survivor, Willie F., born in Dyavolishcha in 1928, remembered the song as well, but from Krakow. He survived the Krakow ghetto, Plaszów, and several other camps. This moving song is an emotional journey through some of the experience the survivors had to go through. And today, in these times, it reminds us how human will and power can get us through the hardest times. We're fighting, surviving, we're here. Wir seien da.
Dort nicht weit, ist der Umschlagplatz verleiht, wie man stippt sich in der Breit zu die Waggonen. Dort hört man ein Geschrei, wie ein Kind schreit zu an Mama. Wir lassen mich allein, lass mir gehen zusammen. Die Polizei, sie haben geheißen, schnelle Gei. Der wirst nicht leiden mehr kein Neut, der wirst bekommen 3 Bräut. Sie haben nicht gewusst, als sie gehen auf einen schnellen Teut. Treblinke dort, für jeden Jid geht dort.
Sie haben nicht gewusst, dass sie gehen auf einen schnellen Teut. Ein Treblinke dort, jeden haben geht dort.
Es ist ein Sturm auf der Welt herabgegangen. Es haben Völker verwandelt, Homländer. Und Rachmanes Jöscher die Chure gemacht der Welt. Die sind von Himmel herabgerissen und von Tod gemacht Nacht. Dort, nicht weit, steht ein Umschlagplatz verleiht. Wie man stiebt sich in der Bereit zu die Waggonen. Dort hört man ein Geschrei, wie ein Kind schreit zu der Mama. Wie lässt mich allein, lass mir gehen zusammen. Die Polizei, sie haben geheißen, schneller gehen. Die wirst nicht leiden mehr kein Neu. Die wirst bekommen 3 Bräut. Sie haben nicht gewusst, als sie gehen auf einen schnellen Teut. Tribbelinke dort, für jeden Jid a Gitte Ort. Ich du dort, man kann nicht schreiben mehr kein Wort. Es kommt dahin, verbleibt man dort. Dort in Treblinke, das Herz die 2, wie man hielt sich noch der Monat von Tate, Mama, kein Treblinke Samen. Schrei, Herzele, schrei, Herzele, sog nicht aus, als die bist da Jid. Schwester und Brüder, Tate, Mama, alle gehen zusammen, alle gehen zusammen, als die bist da Jid. Schrei, Herzele, schrei, Herzele, sog nicht aus, als die bist da Jid. Schrei, Herzele, schrei, Herzele, sog nicht aus, als die bist da Jid. Schwestern, Brüder, Tate, Mama, alle gehen zusammen, alle gehen zusammen, als die bist da Jid.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I would like to thank YIVO Institute and personally Alex Weiser for hosting us today. It is also our pleasure and honor to be part of Carnegie Hall's Voices of Hope Festival and be sharing a virtual stage with many of our music heroes as we musically speak out on a number of truly important, if not burning, issues of our time. You can listen to the songs from Testimonies, including detailed information on each song and survivor at the website songsfromtestimonies.org. And you can purchase CDs and download the album at zisl.bandcamp.com. The vinyl LPs of the second volume are still in production and will become available shortly. However, you can purchase the first volume on the vinyl as well. Tonight's artists were Sasha Lura and the Zisl Slepovitch Ensemble, Joshua Kemp on the accordion, Dimmitri Ishenko on the contrabass, Craig Udelman on the violin. I'm Zisl Slepovitch, the artistic director who conceived this program, a woodwind player and the vocalist on Songs from Testimonies project. Stephen Naron is the director of the Fortunoff Video Archive for Holocaust Testimonies at Yale University. Video editing is by Magdalena Hutter, sound editing by Joshua Kemp. The vinyl mastering, vinyl and CD manufacturing, and booklet layout are all masterfully done thanks to the expertise of Jeff Mueller of Dexterity Press. The album art and animation, which we enjoyed today, is by Yulia Ruditskaya. Thank you very much. Stay well. See you next time.